Hello, Stephen Brown. How are you today? How are you doing?
I'm very well, Sally Lawson. How are you today?
I am all right. As I was just saying to Steve before we went live, I had this hugest curry at lunchtime, which sounds terrible, but Stephen in our office got his nan's curry in, and we have all just eaten far too much. If I start coughing, it's just too much curry. But yeah,
and you said you've been back for seconds and thirds.
I didn't go for the thirds, but I went for the seconds. And you're spooning it on the plate like this is so nice, but you're thinking I shouldn't be eating this. Just, oh God! But sometimes you just got to go what you fancy, haven't you? And there we are. So
Definitely, it's Friday as well.
Absolutely, so it is. But Sam, thank you so much for coming. I know we've sort of connected a few times over the years. But I think you popped into one of our Rainmaker live events, I think, in the past. But we've just seen each other. We've talked to each other, and that I just thought, let's chat online and let's see what we can do to help this community to sort of grow and develop their businesses. We've had a challenging year this year. It's been absolutely awful. We're recording this here at the end of October 2020, so it's been a really, really tough year. And I know, Stephen, you've been doing a lot to help people get through this and come out the other side. And I think one of the big things is stay positive more than anything as well. So what sort of year has it been for you from an industry coach perspective?
I suppose it started off, I had a really busy year. I brought Troy Malcolm over from McGrath, who was the head of learning and development. And I had 240 agents over the course of 2 days listen to Troy. I have the pleasure of being in his company for those actually for a week. Troy works for me for the best estate agent I've ever come across, John McGrath of McGrath's in Sydney. Absolutely phenomenal. And success leaves clues. And, one of the things that I'm sure with all your businesses and, you tell people, go and speak to people that have been there, that have done it, got the t-shirt, because you will learn so much. And for me, it's all about asking questions. So it's just fascinating, to learn about John, to learn about their culture. So that was great. Very busy. Started off actually really busy year, and then March, the tap was firmly switched off. And I just decided then that I was going to help people. So I did loads of webinars, whether it's on prospecting, whether it's to get higher fees, what you should be doing at the time. And I did for Brief Your Market, I did for RAN, I did for various different groups, so Belvoir, Newton Fallowell, and all that network. And then come June, the tap started dripping very, very slowly. And actually August and September, it's been pretty busy. So I've changed my model. I used to, it used to be in a training room. Can't have that. I've got a couple of mastermind groups like yourself. That's all done virtually now via Zoom. My training is all an hour via Zoom. So whether it's on prospecting, whether it's how to get higher fees and market appraisals, what it takes to be a top performer, sales progression. Currently doing a couple of 5-year plans with some agents as well to try and grow and develop their business. But you're spot on. It's what can you control? Okay. So actually we can't control COVID and what's happening with COVID, but we can control our own actions. As agents, we can control picking up the phone. We can control speaking to our landlords, our tenants, our buyers, our vendors, and just actually asking them how they are. And being human first and be kind. And that was it. And that was what it was about. I think now you've got obviously government brought in the measures with the stamp duty holiday. So now it's on the sale side. How can you get your buyers or your vendor sale ready? How can you get your buyers buyer ready? Because I think it's going to be absolute mayhem come March. And again, maybe if you're a buy-to-let investor, now could be a very good time to buy, because at least you can save yourself some money on stamp duty. So again, one of the things that I've been saying to people is go through your letting book, your managed book. I know you don't like to talking about let onlys, so on your managed book, and actually seeing when people bought their properties. So if they bought them 10 years ago, have a look at what they paid for it, then speak to your sales team what you think it's worth now. Potentially there may be quite a bit of equity in that. If there is, maybe they want to double their property portfolio, and had another couple of properties, and they already know you, they like you, they trust you. You're not going out and finding new landlords because they already know you. And also, that's, for me, that's a great opportunity, but there's also cross-selling opportunities there as well. So financial services, conveyancing referrals, a sales fee, and then you're going to hopefully get the managed property and maybe a rent guarantee. So, one small thing you can do, there's loads of income streams, and they can make a massive, massive difference to your business. Can you control that?
I seem to be echoing somewhere. I'm not too sure where I'm echoing. Do you feel that a lot of business owners perhaps don't talk to their clients enough? Perhaps, I know you're predominantly in the estate agency world, but I mean, do they tend to be one-hit wonders, do a deal and then that's it? Is that a thing? Is that what they tend to do?
So I did a poll recently. I had 80 agents on a webinar, and I asked them all, well, I'll ask you the same question. So Sally, do you own your own property?
I do.
Okay, and can I ask how long you've owned it for?
I started buying properties in 1989 and I've bought dozens since.
Okay, fine. So your current home, did you buy that through an estate agent?
Yes, 3 years ago.
Okay, in those 3 years, how many calls have you had? I know you're laughing because I know the answer. How many calls have you had?
None.
None. Okay, and now I want you to assume that you're not in property, please. Okay, so since you bought it 3 years ago, can I ask what works you've done to it?
Oh, we spent about 300 grand on it, refurbing the whole thing. It's totally transformed.
Wow. Okay. So out of interest, you don't need to share this number with everybody. Okay. What do you think it's worth?
More than we bought it for, definitely. Well, I'd hope so. I'd be very upset if it wasn't.
Okay. I'm sure it is. Are you curious to know what it's worth?
I am actually. I genuinely am. I don't know how much it's worth now because the estate agent is not my thing. I'm lettings, but yeah, I would be interested to know whether the work that we've done has added to the value. Yeah.
Okay. Well, look, I'm going to be in your road tomorrow at 1 o'clock or 4 o'clock. What time would you like me to come round and just give you an idea as to what it's worth?
Oh, now it's tempting. I think 2 o'clock sounds very good, Stephen. I'll put the kettle on.
Perfect. There you go. Lovely. Peppermint tea. Peppermint tea. I drink. Okay. So again, that's a really easy way, just by asking questions. How much did that cost me?
Nothing. Absolutely nothing.
And what have I found out? So I did this survey. I think I had 80 agents on this webinar. 50 of them said they owned a property. All 50 of them said they had not once been contacted by their agents. So just like you, they had all gone into witness protection. So God knows what everybody had done to them, or what they had done to go into witness protection. So me, that's scary. Here's what was interesting then. I asked a couple of follow-up questions, one similar to what I asked you. 37 of them said they would want market appraisals. 37. Okay. And then I asked the following question. I said, are you in your dream home? 37 of them said no, and if I could find them there within their dream home within their budget, they would consider moving. Wow. Okay, so again, I know that you're amazing with all your funnels, and nurturing all the clients, and it's absolutely fantastic. But if you're an agency that's been going for a long time, you've got an incredible data bank. I call it a data bank rather than a database, okay? Because there is absolute gold in there. And again, and I know you're very good and you have these sessions on mining your data, but the agents that I do and the training, I mean, that's my most popular training session. And if we monetize it for everybody, and actually I know this is going out to other businesses, and I want you, other businesses listening, you've got databases, customer bases as well. How frequently are you mining them? Because let's just say, I mean, for me, you should be mining them every day for an hour, okay? Because let's face it, if we don't, for me in agency, market appraisals are your lifeblood. Is that fair?
Absolutely.
Okay. If you don't have any market appraisals, you're stuffed. So if you spend, and here's another question I tend to ask when I do training, is who thinks market appraisals? So these are all very loaded questions. So, do you think market appraisals are the lifeblood of any agency? So everybody raises their hand. Great. Who would like higher fees, customer loyalty, and more revenue? Okay, great. So stand up then if you're doing 1 hour of business generation every day.
That's where they all stay seated.
So you tell me, what's that about?
No, it's interesting. When in my rooms, I do say to them, like, you know, out of all of you, who is spending time and money on marketing every single week, just at least once a week, who is spending time and money, or, you know, on marketing? And 95% of the room will say no, they don't spend the money and they don't spend the time. And it's frightening, because they will be the same businesses that are saying, I've not got any leads. There's no new business out there. And what happens is it almost becomes a belief that there is no business out there, that it's just gone quiet, and it's because of the competitor up the road, or because of this or that or the other, because they're cheaper. And it's none of those things, is it, Stephen? It's you're just not reaching out to people. You know, whether you do it by a funnel, or whether you do it by calling, or a mixture of all those things, you've got to find ways to connect with people. And I think that's so important these days in any business, isn't it?
100%. And if you monetize it, you know, if you can just get one, and let's do sales, if you can get one extra market appraisal a day, that's 250. And if you can convert 1 in 2, that's 125. And if you sell 70 and the average UK fee is £3,000, that's an extra £210,000 worth of business. You know, why wouldn't you be prospecting every single day? I mean, it's a no-brainer.
So why do you think it is? Why do you think people, and it applies to any business, they just get wrapped up in the day-to-day diatribe of rubbish, you know, the emails, the he said, she said, they fell out, somebody hasn't turned up, picking up the phone, sorting out the keys, whatever it is, they just get wrapped up in stuff. What is it about the human psyche, do you think, that makes people just get so wrapped up in stuff and lose focus of this thing that is like, there's a saying, actually, Stephen, I'm sure you've heard it, and it says, if trees gave off Wi-Fi, we'd all be planting trees everywhere. It's a shame they only give off oxygen. And it's exactly the same, isn't it? We just focus on all the wrong things. Why is that? What's going on in the human brain that makes us? Because
there's a couple of things. People feel comfortable doing the £5 an hour tasks because it makes them feel good. It's easy to tick them off and say, yeah, I've done that, I feel good. You've also got the fear of picking up the phone, and likewise with video. So for me, I mean, I'd be doing video the whole time. You know, you do videos and you see the power of it, but it's just getting done, you know, or just hit record and just start it. You know, one of the things, so I've got a podcast called The Estate Agents Podcast, and I interviewed a guy called Jeb Blunt, who has written the best book on prospecting called Fanatical Prospecting. It's absolutely exceptional. And there was a couple of things. Firstly, nobody could understand how I managed to get him onto my podcast. Okay. And it was very simple. I read his book and I was determined that he was going to get on my podcast. And I sent him messages via Twitter, LinkedIn, email, no response. Absolutely nothing. I'm saying, right, so either this guy, am I allowed to swear on your podcast on this live? Either this guy's full of shit, or actually I'm going to persevere and get it. The 9th attempt, I got an email back from him. Okay, can you speak to this lady? We'll book it in. Now, we booked it in for 3 months later. He's since been a guest 3 times. And the first question I got asked by somebody is, how did you manage to get him on? So that was the first question I asked. And he said, because you asked. And then he said, it's funny you should say that. He said, there was another English guy, and because he's from America, and he said, this guy contacted me 81 times. And I thought, you know what, I've just got to speak to him. The 82nd time I spoke to him and he sold me something, he said, I wish I'd taken it first of all, because it would have saved me so much time and so much trouble. But he says about, it's just the last call you make. So, you know, let's face it, prospecting is not great. You know, how many times do we get rejected with no's the whole time? You know, who likes to get a no? And for me, it's about your mindset. You know, so I view every telephone call I make, that is going to be an opportunity. Now, that opportunity may not be now. It may not be in 6 months' time. It may be in 15 years. But it's understand that what you're doing is you're maintaining a relationship. you're keeping in contact, they're hearing your name. And when they do come to sell or rent their property out, who they're going to use? They're going to use you, and they're not going to invite any other agents in. It's just going to be you. So if you can overcome that fear of just doing it, picking up the phone, if you don't like being rejected, then I'm sorry, you're in the wrong business. Okay. So, you know, well, not anymore, but when I used to go to nightclubs and got rejected after the 27th time, you get used to these things. Prospecting's easy.
Oh dear, you are funny. But you're absolutely right. And I think you just said there, fear and comfort. I would agree with you totally. You know, people just get so comfortable. And one of the things I talk to people about is, as well as CEOs, as business owners, there's this, you call it power hour, I call it hustle hour. We do it slightly differently, but it's the same thing. It's basically hitting the list and calling out. But, you know, as a CEO, also you should be having your own power hour as well, or whatever you want to call it, because there's context you should be, like you've just said there, getting that guy on the podcast, you know, winning that big contract for you to be doing the new homes sales on whichever projects. And, you know, as a business owner, you need to be doing your own power. And I think quite often, you know, those that are prospecting have got their teams prospecting, but quite often you look at the CEO and they're not prospecting, you know, in the bigger companies. Do you have any experience of business owners that you've worked with where they've not been and you've encouraged them to do it and they have and have some big successes? Because I think that's just as important.
I agree. As a business owner, you want to grow your business. You know, you've got the contacts, and actually people want to talk to you. And it may be that you open the doors for your colleagues just by speaking to them. If you're not doing it, you know, actually you're setting an example for your team. So it's, you know what, the CEO doesn't do it, well, why should I do it? You know, he obviously doesn't feel it's important.
And he's more likely to open bigger doors as well, isn't he? The owner of the business is more likely to get where you perhaps wouldn't as an employee, so to speak.
Yeah, definitely. And then it's demonstrating it works. I mean, what gets me is, you know, implementation and accountability is massive. It's absolutely huge. And, you know, with your hustle hour, by doing it live, you can demonstrate to people it actually works. Okay, because it's all well and good for you and me, you know, trainers, and we say, yeah, do this and it's easy and it works. But, you know, when you're in a room and you say to everybody, and you give them, you know, so when I do the hustle hour, we talk about the different categories of your customer base that you should be calling, what you should be saying. They do a little bit of practice with me, and then you go, right, go and make the phones, go and hit the phones. And all of a sudden, market appraisals are coming in, instructions are coming in, financial services leads are coming in, and they're going, wow, this is amazing. Because that's an easy win. That's demonstrate. That is getting a return on your investment when you go on the training course, where it happens there and then. And they're really excited. And then a month later, you go into their business and you go, how's it going? And they go, Stephen, that was one of the best training courses I've ever been on, or the best, thank you. So go, great. So how's the last month been? Nothing. So I said, I'll tell you what, okay, whilst I'm here, let's do a 45-minute phone out. 45 minutes later, they managed to get 5 market appraisals. Okay, that's a bit strange that. I just happened to be here today and you managed to do that. Can I ask you a question? Are you doing it consistently every day? No. Well, there's your answer. Coming back to your question, I got asked to work, to go to an agency, and they said to me, right, Stephen, if there's a phone there and there's a computer there, what I'd like you to do is, can you call some of our customer base? So I walked in and there was a really cocky negotiator there. And he said, Stephen, how many market appraisals are you going to get? And bearing in mind, I don't know anybody on their customer base. So I said, well, I threw it back. How many are you going to get? So he said, I'm going to get 3 today, Stephen. So I'm thinking, oh, this is going to be fun. So I said, I'll get 1 more than you. Okay, thinking I've really got no idea how I'm going to do it. But let's see if I can put in practice what I teach people. So third call I made. One of my colleagues came to see you a year ago. What's happened since? Nothing. So out of interest, what do you think your property's worth? I've got no idea. Obviously, the market's gone up in a year. Are you curious to know? Yes. When can you do it? Couldn't do it this week, next week. Bang, got the first one. Then I've got a favourite question. And I said, is this your only property or is it part of a larger property empire? And he said, I'm developing 21 flats around the corner. Would you be interested in coming along and looking at those? I said, you know what, that's a really tough one to answer. Of course I will. By the way, we've also got 10 other branches. What else have you got? 5 minutes later, I've got 39 market appraisals.
Wow.
There's now silence in the office. I put the phone down, turned around to the negotiator. I said, I've got 39, now go and get 40. And I got a bit carried away. I won't do what I did because it was a bit rude. Got a bit carried away. The best one was on the training course where they asked that question. And this was a new starter and this was up in Scotland. He asked this question and the landlord goes, I've got 780 properties. And you should have seen his face. It just went. And then the next day I get a phone call from his manager to say, I don't know what you did to this guy. He's come in, told me he's found a landlord with 780 properties. They couldn't help them because they were all around the country. But for me, and again, actually with businesses, I'm sure it's relatively simple. With agency, it's relatively simple. It's about prospecting, listing, negotiating and selling. So what's your plans? You know, and can you relate it to other businesses?
But it is knowing the right questions. I mean, like some of the questions you're using there around are very, very savvy around the estate agency side. I think a lot of the times I've seen or been at the end of power hour, so to speak, from estate agencies, like, hi, it's so-and-so from so-and-so, just ringing, have you got any properties? And it's just like, yeah, but if I had, I'd give them to somebody I've built a relationship with, not you on the phone, you know. So I think there has to be some training element on the technique side. And I think what you're describing there is very, very, really good questions on opening the door to get in because you don't know the value of the property. Have you got any other properties, other areas and things like that? And I think that's what's missing, because there are some people that are doing power hour or whatever you want to call it, prospecting hour, but not actually having any technique to it. I think there's a big difference. I mean, have you ever witnessed somebody who was doing prospecting? I'm thinking of a case I know of. Sue Gidney, I think you interviewed her actually a few months ago.
Yes, Sue was on my lunchtime learnings. Yeah,
she used to do prospecting hour, and she used to get about 6 evaluations every time she did it. And we taught her hustle hour and a few key things to say differently, like, well, you're pretty much similar to what you're saying. And she got 136 in the first one, then 107 in the following one, and it was the same process, but just using better conversations and communications. It is powerful stuff if you use the right questions.
100%. So let me ask you a question. And again, please, you're not an estate agent, letting agent. Okay. So you've told me you've got a property empire.
Yes, that's right. Yes.
Okay. So would you be kind enough? You may not be able to, doesn't matter. So can I ask how many are in your empire?
I'm not a landlord, I'm not a letting agent. I've got 12.
Okay, fantastic. So can I ask you, when was the last time your letting agent offered to take you for a coffee to maximize your investment?
1997, probably.
Friends may have changed then, since then. Would you be interested in maximizing your investment?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Okay, so now I didn't know that you had 12 properties. You and I are going for a coffee. Now, it may not lead to anything. I may not be able to help you. But then, you know, would you be interested now with a stamp duty holiday in expanding your empire to a kingdom?
Oh, definitely. Yeah, it'd be worth it if we can get a good deal. Yeah.
So it's just asking these questions.
Yeah, the right questions.
And once I'm face to face with you, then hopefully I use my charm and charisma to win you over. But it's understanding that it is a long-term process. You know, you're not going to win it straight away. You know, I see some agents that just go, "Hi Sally, how are you? Do you want me to come round and value your property?"
Yeah, that's what I've experienced. Yeah.
So where's the value in that? I mean, if you're a landlord, surely you're interested in maximize your investment. Do you know any landlords that aren't interested in maximizing their investment?
Not really, no.
So
when someone rings me up and says something, oh, are you thinking of, you know, can I sell your house, or have you got any more properties or anything? I just think you're a cheeky bastard, because they're not opening the door, they're not giving anything, they're just going straight in for the close without the pitch. I mean, it just doesn't make sense to me at all.
So, you know, again, for me, and the same in any business actually, is what are you doing to demonstrate that you're different? Because it is highly competitive out there. What are you doing to add value on that customer's journey? So what's, you know, their first impression when they call you? Are you doing something different, or are you all the same? You know, if we take agency, actually it's most probably the same in any business. Price. You know, you can have one agent that charges 2% and the other agent charges 1%. But actually, if the agent can put more money in that vendor's pocket for their biggest tax-free asset, then they're the cheapest agent. And likewise on lettings and fully managed. And for me, it's going through all your journey and finding ways of adding value, being different. And again, it's just small things. You know, I'm a firm believer in these marginal gains. You know, these small increments that they cumulatively they all add up, and that's the same. And that's the same in any business that you're working in. You know, what are those little things that done daily can make a massive, massive difference? And if you get every single person in your company with those 1% every day, wow, your business is going to absolutely fly.
And we've seen people that have massively grown their businesses by making these changes. But as you say, fear and comfort. But I mean, can there be anybody left in their own comfort zone after this year? I mean, is that possible to be in a comfort zone after the year we've had?
Well, look what we're doing now via Zoom.
Yeah.
You know, so before, how many people were used to having interviews on Zoom, having face-to-face meetings on Zoom? So a decade's most probably gone in the last 3 or 4 months, and it's totally changed. And actually now, agents should have no excuse not getting in front of both landlords. Okay, not getting in front of solicitors or executors and probate. Get them all on a Zoom call. Okay, every offer you get. So actually, even in businesses, you know, if you're talking about a contract, do it face to face. Put an offer face to face. I can see Sally's face when I put forward a really low offer, and it's, oh my good God, no, that's disgusting. So there's a clue there. But you know, why aren't we putting offers face to face now? You know, if you get a tenant, you know, why not say, right, let's get the tenant on here, Mr. Landlord, and you have an interview with them, see if you like them. You know, and again, you know, by looking at somebody eye to eye, you know, hopefully you get an idea. Solicitors as well, you know, get solicitors on a, you know, WhatsApp and face to face, and let them not hit each other, but you know, get the deal over the line quicker.
Yeah, that'd be really useful actually, because they're pretty slow solicitors, aren't they, these days? At the moment, they seem to be.
Yeah, I think that's
dragging their feet a bit.
It's absolutely crazy. So you know, whether it's the lenders, whether it's the surveyors, whether it's the solicitors, again, that comes back to you educating people, educating your vendors. Videos, I think videos are so important. You know, for any business, educate your customers what's going on. You know, there was an article, I think it was on Estate Agent Today, that came out this week to say that if you don't put your property on by 1st of November, you're going to miss out on the stamp duty holiday. So if you're an agent, why aren't you telling people? Why haven't you sent that message out on video? Click on the article, because actually it's not you being the typical salesman say, look at me, you've got to put it on, you need, you know, this is a third party. This is telling people that you need to do it. And then, you know, it's once you book in the appraisal to say, right, here's everything you need to do to get yourself sale ready. You know, if you take on a letting property, you know, here's everything. This is what a tenant fact file. So here's everything, Mr. Tenant, Mrs. Tenant, that you need to know about your property. Okay, when you go and see it. Okay, and that would go for me on a viewing before they've even seen it. Here's everything you know. This is every question a tenant would want answered on any rental property. And if you like it, here's the next steps, what you need to do. And the flip side for the vendors is, you know, letting them know what's going on, and then the call to action, you know, to actually get them into your funnel to say, here's, you know, click on here for 10 steps to achieve a premium price. You know, click here for 5 steps to find to how to maximize your investment. That to
You've
me
come a
is
long way from the estate agency photographs of them all lined up at the front of their shop with their latest recruit or latest award, as was, I think, just 12 months ago. That seemed to be what a lot of estate letting agents did as promotion. But as you say, in the last 10 months, we've probably come ahead, a good 10 years. And I wonder how many people that are listening and watching this have actually started building their databases. You talk about data mining, data gold. Absolutely. And have you noticed, Stephen, every time you go to a shop now and you buy something, they want your email address to send you the receipt. I'm like, I know what you're doing. I know what you're doing, you cheeky buggers. It's the thing now, isn't it? So we all need to be focused on that. Stephen, you've been absolutely amazing. How can people get in touch with you if they wanted to talk to you or meet you?
So they're very welcome to go to my Facebook page, which is SJB Consultancy on Facebook. There's also a free personal audit on them, so they can see what the qualities they need to be a top performer. They can score themselves honestly as well, so that's a free giveaway for anybody. You can Google Stephen J. Brown Consultancy on obviously Google. Have a look at my website, Twitter at Stephen Brown 54, Instagram at Stephen Brown 54, Stephen with a PH at sjbconsultancy.co.uk, Stephen Brown on Instagram. Every Tuesday and Thursday I do lunchtime learnings with similar to what you're doing with people in the industry and not. And again, it's all about helping people, adding value. That came out of actually the lockdown, because there were loads of fantastic webinars being done, but I didn't think there was stuff for people that were furloughed. So I started doing that, and I've carried it on as well. So it's, it's demonstrating it's about consistency and getting your message out there. But I'm very grateful for you having me on. So thank you.
No, it's been great. I've learned a lot, actually, because estate agency is not my bag. It never has been. It's always been lettings. And I think you've got some nice little hooks there, which are absolutely phenomenal for anybody who's in a estate agency, and definitely worth checking your website out. I think I might go and do this test myself, actually, and see where I am. Okay, Stephen, you've been absolutely amazing. Thank you so much. Have a wonderful day. Thank you very much for listening.
Thank you. Cheers. Bye.